This is Tales from the Nook, Part 1. Thought of the Day. I heard Jordan Peterson talk about this on a podcast, and he was saying that Nietzsche said this, that most good people are just cowards because they don't not break rules out of virtue. They don't break rules out of fear of getting caught. And that really made me think. I like to pride myself on being a good person. But when I really thought about it, am I good for the sake? Do I do good things for the sake of being good? Or do I follow the rules and am I polite to people out of the fear of the repercussions if I were not? So am I polite to people because I'm a people pleaser? Or am I polite to people because I believe that's the right thing to do? And I'd like to think that I'm polite to people because it's the right thing to do. But also, I don't like conflict. I don't like upsetting people. I don't like the thought that someone would think I was rude for whatever reason. I don't like the thought of getting caught doing something that I'm not supposed to do. So, thankfully these days, I don't do things that I don't want to get caught doing. Somebody put it really in a really good way for me one time. I was asking about, I forget what it was even, for real. I forget what it was, but I was like, and I'm not sure if I should be doing that. And the person said, how would you feel if the 5 o'clock news busted in to wherever you were, whatever you were doing right now, and it was broadcast for the whole world to see? Would you mind? And at the time, I think I said no. I probably said no. And he said, well, then that's not something that you should be doing. Because he said to live your life like an open book, so that anybody could flip through any of the pages and you're not ashamed of what's contained under the cover. And so I try to live my life like that today. That if, you see people that get canceled and exposed and all these kinds of things. And, it makes me think what a paralyzing life that must be for people to have fame and notoriety and know the reaches of the internet and how much information people can find out, yet they still do things that they're ashamed of or they're not proud of or they know they shouldn't be doing. I mean, God, what a prison of an existence that must be. Thankfully, I'm not famous, as are most of us aren't famous, right? But in my own world, my integrity and my persona is important to me. I have a friend, you should follow him on YouTube, Grumman Greaser, and we were talking about, I was joking with him. I said, hey, are you smoking weed yet? Because I know that's not something he would ever do. And he said, nah, man, it doesn't fit the profile. And it's an interesting way to put it. He said, this is my job, this is what I do, this is who I am, this is what I enjoy, this is how I want to be perceived by the world, and smoking weed doesn't fit my profile. And I thought, wow, that's an interesting way to put it. It's more of like external looking in, but I think for himself, when he looks in the mirror, does that fit the profile? Does what I'm doing fit who I am or who I want to be? And so, yes, I don't break laws because I don't want to go to jail. But I also don't break laws because I truly believe in the value of not infringing upon other people's freedoms and other people's rights. And certain guidelines have been established in our polite society that I feel it's best to follow them, If I have an opportunity to cut in line or take a shortcut and I see there's people waiting, I don't do that because I wouldn't want someone to do that to me. I know how I would feel if I saw somebody do that to me. So I just automatically don't do it to other people. I don't interrupt people. I don't speak harshly to people. I'm not rude. I really try with every encounter that I have to treat everybody like a friend. Like, treat everybody the way I would treat someone in my life who I want to be around, and I want them to have respect for me. I treat everybody like that. I don't blow people off. I don't take my frustrations out on people, whether I know them or not. I think a lot of the times people use strangers as like emotional punching bags, and they get little jabs in here and there because they think, well, I'll never see that person again. What does it matter? And for me, I don't live like that. I think, well, what if I do? What if I do see that person again? What if it turns out that I find myself in a situation where I actually need to be around that person a lot? And just a short while ago, I was rude to them, or I was dismissive of them. So I prepare myself to be present in everybody's life, whether I'll be around them again in the future or not. You know, I do good things to the best of my ability, what I think is good, or I behave in a way that I think is good. Partially because I don't want the retribution of what it would be like to be a nasty person, or a bad person, or a dishonest person, or a hurtful person. But also, it's not out of fear. It's not out of cowardice. It's out of, I like the way I feel when I have positive interactions with people, or when I have positive interactions with myself, or when I have positive interactions with a situation. You know, sometimes circumstance can almost be personified. And I like the way I feel when I interact with a person, a place, or a thing in a positive way. I walk away from that experience with a feeling that I like. And when, for whatever reason, if I'm sick, or I'm tired, or I'm hurt for whatever reason, and I slip up and I have a negative encounter, I immediately feel it, and it doesn't feel good. And I like to feel good. So, it's just something to think about. Am I following rules out of fear of getting caught? Or am I doing what I know to be right for the sake of integrity, and for the sake of personal well-being and personal self-confidence and self-esteem? I think it's good to know when it's appropriate to break the rules, because every once in a while in life, we will need to break the rule. Every once in a while in life, we'll need to break a law. But I was also taught that there's a difference between God's law and man's law. And that's a whole other subject. But for example, man's law says you can't steal. You shouldn't steal. But if I'm starving and I need to steal that loaf of bread to feed my family, and I do that, I broke man's law, but did I break God's law? You know, the Ten Commandments says, thou shalt not steal. But sometimes the laws of the universe supersede the laws of man. And it's important to know when I need to bend or break a rule for the ultimate good, but that's very, very rare. It's very rare. So, Tales from the Nook Part 1. Just thoughts, right? I'd be laying in this hammock in this beautiful environment, and I'd be thinking about these things anyway. So, I'll share them. And if anybody wants to comment on the damn video and let me know your thoughts, or if you have some feedback, like whatever your thoughts are, and we could start a conversation that way, I'm really interested in that. That'd be cool. But whatever, if you don't, you don't. I'm going to share them anyway. So, do good for the sake of how it makes you feel. Because I know that when people do good things, we're wired as human beings. We're wired to release dopamine and endorphins to reinforce that positive. Because ultimately, when we're helpful to another living creature, it enhances life. And deep wired in our DNA is this drive for life and survival. So if I help any other living thing, if I do good to any other living thing, I'm supporting life. And that's the core drive in us as a human being. So do good and reap the benefits and enjoy the feelings